press start.
We can just move on to new things we're playing and watching, but I don't know that there are that many of those. The only thing I have is Forspoken's demo. I was going to play the booster course Wave 3 tracks that came out on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Didn't get around to them. Did anybody play Chained Echoes?
Not yet, no, but I just want to point out that this game exists because of me. Because I backed it. So
yeah, Dan made this game. You heard it here.
You know what's cool is I've been reading reviews for this. I watched the Switched Up review that Derek sent us. I love the Switched Up channel, by the way. They're great for Nintendo fans.
Yeah, I like them too.
But this game just looks amazing. It got one of their best reviews of the year. It's got like the Chrono Trigger meets Xenogears meets Final Fantasy VI vibes, and I'm like, you mean some of my favorite games from the 90s or ever, for that matter?
That's what grabbed my attention. Yeah.
So and it looks great. I have it downloaded. I just
me too. I just haven't gotten to it. Yeah. That's the thing too. It's
on Game Pass too.
Exactly. Anybody that has a Game Pass subscription, just go download it and try it out. It's a small team. I think one person primarily was responsible for most of it. And just contracted out certain works or hired freelancers and stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think you should just go freaking try it. Don't be like us. Actually make time for it.
Go freaking try it, guys.
Yeah, it's and it's got freaking mechs in it, man. It's got freaking mechs, and you can customize the mechs.
Is that short for Mexicans or I don't?
Yes, yes.
Wow. Yeah. What are we doing here? What's happening right now?
What's happening, guys?
God damn it. I played the demo because they gave They give out like a demo code a while.
No one's ever called those people that, but Jeff went.
No.
I'm trying. Where was this joke during Armored Core? What the heck?
No, that's fine. I was trying to bring the focus back to the serious, man.
No, you were the mature one of all of us.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
My face still hurts from watching Bill Burr tonight.
Dude, I can only imagine.
That material is just unbelievable.
I gotta just massage the.
But I remember seeing the trailer that first time. It's the first game I've ever backed, and I've never kickstarted a game, and I don't know, something about it like grabbed like Tim said, it had the aesthetic of like all those old games, and it's like, well, yeah, absolutely. Plus the mechs. The mechs was like the main thing that I was like, I don't really see a lot of like 16-bit style like games.
Gear vibes, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Where it's just
but
like that
Super
sci-fi
Nintendo
fantasy,
stuff.
you know. But
it sounds like all of us got to play this freaking game. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Let's just pause this recording and go play right now.
Let's just go and come back. So Forspoken's demo, I did play that. It was officially, I think they just put it on the PlayStation Store right after they showed that trailer. It seems like it's a good 2.5 hours worth of stuff. They give you 5 main objectives that you can do, but if you open the map, you have way more markers available to go play with stuff. So the 5 main objectives aren't going to take that long to beat at all. Like you could probably finish the entire thing in like an hour. But they do put you in a chunk of the open world, so there's so much to do and so much to look at.
Slice.
It's I don't think it's that chunky. I think the open world is going to be way bigger in the final product. I feel like this is like a sliver of the open world.
Chunky sliver.
A chunky sliver. It's like not the shitty piece of the pizza that's like somebody cut it to screw over the youngest member of the family. It's like.
All right, I'm with you now. I'm following you. And now I want some pizza.
So exactly. Now we're all taking a break to go play Chained Echoes and have some pizza.
I actually literally just ordered pizza off DoorDash like just now. So y'all think I'm joking?
That's so genius.
I'll show you. I'll show it to you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Order prepared.
That's amazing.
Not because of this. Y'all just like grew into this conversation.
Wow. We knew what you were doing. We knew.
We willed it into existence.
Go team, go.
But so all that stuff, all that activity is really well done in my opinion, as far as at least the demo is concerned. I'm hoping that the full game has as much stuff in that small sliver in the rest of the open world. The combat is actually quite fun. It just takes some getting used to because they really want you to combo and switch between the type of magic spells that you're using. And you start out in the game, at least in the demo, they give you 2 types of magic. One is fire-based and another one is, I don't think it's ice-based, but it's like purple or something. But the fire one is amazing. Like it's
the fire
just,
is melee.
Yeah, the fire is melee, and you can switch between. I at least had like 6 or 5 spells I could switch between. One was a spear that you could throw at enemies. It's like, and it explodes on them. And another one was called Fury, where it's like a insane melee where you hold down R1 to do a strong attack, and that version of a strong attack was just you're just and then you let it go, you explode, and it just does so much damage.
An hour of this game and never meleeed. I didn't even know there was melee in this game.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I noticed there's 2 different arts.
Yeah. Okay.
There's 2 different.
I have actually
arts.
nothing but bad things to say about this demo. But
damn it.
Maybe it's because I wasn't, like Jeff was saying, meeting it like at its terms or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like y'all are saying things that I didn't even experience. So like maybe I will like it.
You downloaded the wrong game, Kyle. What'd you download?
It was like a Forsaken demo, which is like.
It says Forspoken. Is that the right one?
You want to talk about Forlorn, right? Forlorn. Is that right?
Footloose
the game.
Lincoln movie, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I thought like the chaining of the spells and stuff like that, and switching based on what your enemy is vulnerable to. I thought that actually like worked quite well. It's just the fact that you have to get used to doing it. The traversal stuff, I'm not a fan.
I actually have zero problem with the traversal in this game.
Really?
So funny.
That's the thing. The combat I absolutely hated, and the traversal I didn't love, but I was like, this is fine.
Dan, are you playing it too?
I played like 10 minutes of it, so yeah, not like too much. But like the thing that Jeff was mentioning about switching between melee and spears, like I didn't catch that, but I noticed there's the 2 different arts. Like there's her art, like magic, which is like distant, like she basically fires what feels like a machine gun. Yeah, so she's like, beep, beep, beep,
there is one that is like a machine gun burst fire.
Everything I switched to, which I was pretty sure I switched to everything, was all like away, like far combat. Yeah, ranged combat. Yeah.
Yeah, because
that's why I swear to God I switched to everything. Like so.
There's one too that's like that's one of hers that's like a shield where you hold it and it generates a shield, and then like when you let it go, it like explodes on the enemy. It's so cool.
Okay. So I wasn't noticing the magic within the arts, but is essentially because I noticed again the 2 different arts that you can switch between.
That's the arts I was talking about, is like the style of magic. I was yeah. I didn't realize all the in-game jargon was assigned to me. I totally missed that.
I like the traversal, but it feels a little awkward because basically you're holding circle, right, for her to kind of be dashing, but like you do this sort of fun kind of bounce thing. Like if you time your X, if you hit X at the right time, she kind of like thrusts herself even like further and faster.
I didn't even try that.
You have to time it. Yeah, you have to like time it appropriately. So that takes like, but it feels weird because your thumb's doing like X and circle at the same time. So it's like it feels a little awkward. But
maybe change the button mapping in the final product, or let us change it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's tricky though because I think all the magic stuff's tied to the triggers.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Ones and attacking as twos.
So I don't know if maybe square would feel better. I don't know. But I don't know.
I didn't know about the traversal. Now my mind is kind of blown. But I feel like it's because the demo plugs you into the game.
Yeah.
Maybe a quarter of the way through it. Like I feel like you're
feeling like the drip feed of like getting the powers might feel a little more natural.
Right.
That's why I wasn't willing to write the game off, even though like I walked away almost liking nothing about this game, this demo. But I was very aware. I'm not trying to be too N here, as we say, but like, I walked away going like, I bet this feels better, like learning it, like spell for spell, action for action,
it's
like in the game.
It's kind of like the progression that we have been waxing poetic about in chat about like Neon White or Evil West, where like the way that they give you stuff in each level is just paced so beautifully that you're like, oh, well, I figured out everything else. So this
I think that matters. Yeah, I think that matters.
Whereas this demo is like, again, it feels like it's a quarter way through. You've unlocked a lot of spells, and the customization, like apparently, I didn't know that nails could be customized to as your perks. I didn't realize that. Like, so basically, they add buffs to you. Like, if you paint your nails a certain color, it comes with like a 10% more damage to your enemies. And then if you paint your left hand a different color, it comes with a different type of, like your shield protects you more or something like that. So like, there's like perks involved with that, which I found was people are going to hate that. People are gonna so roast that game.
There were other things, just like the bracelet and her talking. Like I hated all that dialogue.
Oh my god, the dialogue is
really bad.
So that's what, that's what I wanted to mention was because there was that teaser that they released, right? Remember the trailer where they were like, and she's like, oh, and I'm talking to a freaking cuff or whatever, and like everyone freaked out.
It's really like it stinks of that specifically.
He's like trying to be a Jarvis like to Iron Man, where like he's talking to her in her head and she's talking aloud or whatever, and just their interplay is just like not good. It's just
there's no personality between it. Well, and there's another moment where like I'm fighting a boss on a bridge or whatever, and like I won't cuss just so we don't get the explicit this week because we've been actually really good without Tim here. I'm really surprised by how
I cussed a couple times. I said
but I'm about to say the big ones. I'm going to say the big ones.
Don't cuss and cuss, all right?
She gets hit and she goes shoot. Frick, shoot, but like the bad word versions of those.
Yeah.
And she does that like 3 or 4 times during that fight, and I'm just like, so you guys just add cuss words, and that's like drama to you guys. Like, it's just really bad writing to me.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if I can force myself through this game with like combat that I'm already questioning and like bad writing I'm already questioning.
We're playing these games that do it so well, and it's. You can have banter and you can have snark and it can actually be really endearing. That's what made certain Marvel movies and shows better than others. And for most of us is that like, hey, you know what? They actually hit that right balance of snark and sarcasm, but you're super likable and we're on board with you, so it's okay. And if we're not, now you just come off as mean.
Dude, you can even do cringe dialogue in a way that like plays as comedy or self-aware.
And it still works sometimes.
Like Neon White is full of cringe dialogue.
So it's very anime.
They're probably self-aware about it, you know.
Yeah, they're very aware, like, and they're very tapped into pop culture. Like you have a dude saying "bruh" and like stuff that you hear on TikTok and stuff, like from Gen Z and stuff. So like. You can do that and make it good, but this game is not. I don't know, man. It's so basic. It's like the most basic writing you could do for characters in a video.
Because it's a white guy that wrote it, right? Wasn't there a white guy?
Yeah, that's why. There you go.
I'm wondering.
We whites haven't been through enough to actually do well. So.
God damn it! Speaking of whites, Neon White. I'm wondering if like the fish out of water concept. So I maybe in the beginning it's very much she's speaking kind of like a regular person, quote unquote, where she's just saying dumb things that are annoying. And as she kind of goes through as you go through the game and she's like in this fantasy world and kind of becomes more accustomed to it, maybe she like tones down a bit. And
but the thing is about this genre, whether it be anime or even like Disney movies, stuff like that, like they never tone down the way they're that's the point, is the juxtaposition between like a modern person being thrown into this fantasy world. So if anything, it's going to exacerbate, in my opinion. Obviously I don't know, but like if I'm already seeing it now, I don't know if I can handle it for 2
Well, that's the thing.
It makes you appreciate the ones that do it well. It makes you appreciate the good writing. And
absolutely.
Definitely. It makes me appreciate even Aloy talking about her stash so much. Like it makes me miss that type of stuff.
Oh, I'll just put it in my stash.
Because every time she picks something up, she goes, "Oh, might as well take this."
Don't talk to me about your stash.
Every single time, she's like,
"You're not wax this week, Aloy? What's going on here?"
So did you hear her every time she picked anything up, like a plant or a flower?
And they pulled back on the stash dialogue.
So no, like so in Forspoken, she is constantly like.
She is, everything you interact with, she's like,
I might as well get this.
I'll save this for later.
Shut
up! Like,
you don't have to talk as much.
Like
y'all sound like Derek.
Playing a lot of God of War,
and the only time someone who played a game that's bad is what I sound like.
The only time they put stuff in God of War is when you catch on fire. They're like, "Hey, you're on fire. It'll pass, or it'll end soon, or whatever."
I love
it can get silly. Hey, you're on fire, Kratos. Yeah, it can get silly in that game too. To be fair.
There's some of the dialogue too that's extra cringe between, obviously we mentioned the bracelet thing and her, but after a battle they always say the same thing, which is a version of, well, it's quite boring, wasn't it? Oh, you wanted it to be more exciting? Like they always say a version of that every single time.
It's like I want this dialogue to be more exciting.
In this world, like enemies are everywhere. I'm gonna be so annoyed with that.
Forspoken. Wish they hadn't spoken.
I'm going to try and put a positive spin on all this negativity. I'm very happy that I have a game and a busy year next year that I can skip now. So
there you go. Perfect.
Silver line.
Especially a $70 one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. This is one that I'm happy to buy, at $20,
I'm so jealous you can find your React so quickly. I always have to be like, okay, where's the pencil? it's here.
I had that one.
I wasn't disappointed that, and again, I was talking about this in chat. I was like, something has always seemed off to this game about me, and I'm also very aware that maybe a lot of my like takes that I'm sharing right now might be self-realizing prophecies as well. Like, I was kind of going into it worried. Sometimes. I came out of it worried. I'm very open-minded to that being like the case as well.
That's happened to me for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I walked away not in love with this, and I'm totally okay with not playing this right away when it comes out. Yeah. And maybe it's really good. Maybe this vertical slice is just like a really bad slice. I don't know, so
I think I'm more willing to I don't know. I'll just wait and see how reviews are, and then like, okay, well then maybe CD Keys will have something good or something.
Yeah,
which is rare for PS5 games, but it's still like it's possible.
If reviews are excellent, I'll take a look.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait to see if they say it is Square. Yeah, it's from. I
thought it was a PS5 exclusive. Am I wrong?
It is.
It is.
Okay. It is. It's from the team that Tabata, who ended up being the director of Final Fantasy 15. They spun off and created a separate team that then he just left Square entirely. Like a little whiles into the development of this, but using the engine that they used on 15, which was the Luminous engine.
Yeah.
Going off of the Luminous engine.
Good engine, I
mean, very pretty engine, but I remember them saying like it was an effing nightmare to work with 15, which is why
okay.
It took never mind it going from versus 13 to 15.
Yeah,
but
there we go. I got some stuff set up for you. There you go.
Okay.
What does snow mean? What does that mean?
Snowflakes. Everybody's just being a snowflake. That's what I'm trying to say.
But
at least the game runs. At least the demo runs well and looks pretty. It looks very pretty.
I'm gonna download it. I'll give it a whirl to see where.
Why not? It's a demo. Yeah.
Jeff to Kyle spectrum we got here on this.
Yeah, there is a spectrum certainly.
It doesn't seem like it's that vast though, because a lot of stuff that I said, you're kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on a lot of
you seem a little more willing to meet it at its terms or whatever. Where I'm like, I'm willing to be there, but not during this.
You're like, I've got a lot of other games that are waiting for me to meet them.
Yeah, I gotta finish God of War. Like I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing a lot that I'm actually genuinely enjoying. I don't need to force anything right now. So.
The only other new thing that I have that I watched was this is the first post-slap movie that he has released. It's Will Smith's new movie, Emancipation. And it's directed by Anton Fuqua, as I call him.
It's about him being emancipated from the Oscars? Is that what it's about?
It's Fuqua. That was funny. But no, actually the director's name's Fuqua. I'm just being an asshole. So
you said premise, it's Anton Fuqua? Like
Antoine Fuqua, yeah.
Like good Training Day?
Yeah.
Like training? Wow.
Okay. So this is a movie about during the Civil War. There's a slave in the South who hears word of, this is kind of in a nutshell, but it's based on a true story. He hears word that the Lincoln's freeing the slaves in the North. So he already is one of those one of the slaves that's like willing to give it back to the slave owners and like just attack them mouth off. I love that stuff. Like. We get too many like bend the knee type crap in these movies. But like he's like, okay, I'm gonna go escape. And this is a true story. This is based on a guy who took a very famous picture in the Civil War times of his back being totally scarred. You might remember that picture from like history books and stuff.
Did the director like show up to the premiere with?
Yeah, it was a producer. It was one of the white producers. Yeah, and everybody was like,
now because he just has this like he's carrying this around.
Like, you're carrying this picture around? Are you serious? It's so weird, dude.
Maybe don't leave that job to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe have Will Smith or Anton Fuqua, who is
like it would make more sense.
Yeah.
I like the idea of Will Smith walking around with that picture and he would slap everyone and then show the picture. And then slap the next person and show them the picture.
At least you'd remember it. Be like, some guy slapped me, and then he showed me some really disturbing picture.
I don't even remember if he was doing press for this. Like, I've been keeping up with this movie on like Twitter and stuff just to see what the red carpets are looking like. I don't remember seeing him out there. So like that's an interesting aspect at least. So there's still fallout basically is what I'm trying to say from.
He was on the Trevor Noah's show.
He was.
Yeah, I know. He got interviewed. That's where he made his like I forgive myself apology. Yeah, he forgave himself on television. Nothing to do with
Chris Rock. It was still very odd.
No. Anytime Trevor tried to say something about Chris Rock, like he would pivot and be like, "Well, sometimes you just have to forgive yourself for doing a wrong thing." I'm like, dude, shut up.
I respect Trevor for trying to drive it back, like because that's one of the things I like about his interview style. Even though I don't like his show or him in general, his comedy just doesn't work.
He's not funny to me. Yeah.
You know,
but when he would interview people
with that one, because Will Smith is like one of the world's biggest superstars, has been for a long time.
Still is, I would say.
It is a very now very controversial. At least this incident was very controversial, of course. So I get it. Like you're in a weird spot trying to interview him, where you're also probably a fan of his. So
got a big personality there.
That's a tough.
With Trevor would do sometimes with people. He would invite people on like QAnon folks who he totally disagrees with because he just wants to have the interview.
Sure.
And he would try to steer them, like just the way he tries to steer them back. No, you can't. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you this. Like he's really good at like trying to steer people back to what he asked them.
Yeah.
But outside of that, his show's over, so who cares? So anyway, the movie itself, like, I don't know what led to this decision, but Antoine, either him or his cinematographer, decided to add a color grading to this that makes it look black and white, but it's more like blue and white, if that makes sense. It's kind of like, remember in Lord of the Rings
Dan's
Two Towers?
lighting behind him.
Yes, it's like that. It's like the Lord of the Rings Two Towers, where there's like a whole like blue segment, whatever, at night. It's like that. It's like there's like no color. It's really weird.
Interesting.
It's ugly, honestly. It's a really ugly movie, and I don't just mean because of the horrors that they're showing you. We've seen that in other movies. Like we've seen so much of this stuff in other movies, and they've done it better. So I mean, there's that.
Well,
too.
And you can do like a movie that doesn't have color and still have visual striking. Like The Artist did a great job with that a few years back.
Dude, I love that movie.
So did I love The Artist, and so did with Macbeth, which I'm not really a big fan of. Like
Tragedy, the Denzel one.
Yeah, the Denzel one on Apple TV, where they use the original Shakespeare script, but like I don't know, there's something about that it's hard for me to get into.
Yeah.
But the visuals for that were amazing.
Yeah, and I think they even got nominated for like a production design award, which is basically just look how good your set is.
It was like
because the set is unreal.
It was like this play, like this incredible stage play, but not really. It was incredible.
Yeah,
so
the way
you can
that
do
the camera
you can do it
shadows in that movie very interestingly because it was
and lots of fog, cool smoke that would come in. So like you can do it without color. Like if you want a striking black and white look, you can have it. Doesn't
I
have
fell asleep
like
during
Justice League's black and white, version.
Yeah, that makes it so much better. This is how Snyder guys
4x3.
Yeah, guys.
Right. It looks really good, I think is the word.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a decision that was made.
So I forgot to finish this guy's story. So this freed slave, he does manage to get away from his owners, these piece of shit racists, and he steals onions from the farm. So the dogs that they use to get the scent off of runaway slaves, so they can't smell him. So he's like rubbing onions on himself, like as he's running away, and he's able to lose their trail because like they lose his trail because of that. That's a true story that actually happened. So he does finally show up to a Union camp. He registers to fight in the Civil War. This is all true, by the way. Like this is, you can like Google this. It's the plot of the movie basically, but it is what happened. So the dude has an interesting story. It's just not told in an interesting or unique enough
way. Which is crazy because you're talking about this movie was made obviously while he was still loved, like Will Smith. Anton Fuqua, like he makes good movies, or Canon has, there's been some shaky ones for sure.
Like the Equalizer 2.
There's been plenty. So it's like you would think that there would be a good hand on the wheel with this movie, but it sounds like there was just better versions of it.
I think if I'm oh damn, I forgot who wrote the script, but I think the writers were kind of a big problem for what the movie ended up being. Because a lot of
pay those guys less, writers, right, guys? Ugh.
Yeah, man.
Get AI write these movies.
You know what? Crunch all the time. Just crunch all the time. Who cares about
crunch?
Nobody cares.
Dude, CGI artists, I mean, they don't need to get paid.
What are they making fake stuff? Who cares?
That's the big joke about Mythic Quest is they always make the art department do everything overtime, crunch all the time, and nobody bats an eye. Everybody acknowledges that the art department is the lowest of the totem pole, and they have to do all the grunt work. It's so funny. I
love that scene in The Office where they want him to crunch the numbers again. He's like, crunch.
He just presses like enter.
Yeah. And Pam's like, did it work?
Did it work? Yeah. Pam's very much like on Michael's side on that one. She's like, so?
I love that. Yeah, so this is on Apple. If you do want to watch it and you already have that cheap subscription that they offer, it's at least worth watching and seeing it for yourself, because I did see at least one reviewer who's like, he's more of like a pundit. He doesn't do formal reviews, but he does like reviews on Access Hollywood or whatever. Okay. I saw one of at least him, and he was the only one who was like, this is one of the best movies of the year and this should be nominated for an Oscar, blah, blah, blah. He loved it so much. So it could hit you that way, you know? So, I mean, if you have Apple, why not? That's the only new thing I saw.
The other new thing that I've been playing is not a new game, but it's a pretty major update for Valheim. This Mistlands update is now
that's major.
Is now public. It was in testing for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. But it's public now. You know, it's interesting when you add content to a game like this, you're relying on the players to have already finished the rest of it. So this is not the kind of thing where you can jump in with your new character and just go try the new stuff. It's not. It's meant to be like, hey, we have finished 6 of the levels, and once you finish those, we're working on the 7th and the 8th, and so like that's
game content.
It's mainly just like it's the end of the game, because the game's not finished yet. We keep forgetting that, like, Valheim's not done yet. The vision of it is 9 worlds, and they've got 7 of them complete now. So anyway, this game, this area is really well designed. It's really pretty. They went through interesting phases early on. If you were to stumble upon Mistlands, kind of like the placeholder area, it's just a really dark forest with spider webs everywhere. Kind of looks like what's that forest in Lord of the Rings? But it's just really dark, and there's like big skulls, and it's like, I'm not sure what they're doing with this, but there's all placeholder stuff. It's just empty space. There's no enemies that'll attack you. It's actually a good place to build a base when you were early on, because there's nothing that's going to attack you. But they've since changed it. It's much more magical now. It's like a super magic centric. They've added in a couple of like NPC type characters that you can sort of talk to and interact with. You can also attack them, which I don't recommend. They will kill you pretty quickly. And then a lot of enemies, like some big, not so nice enemies. They had these cute little rabbits that are like the deer, right? They're really easy to hunt, and they're good to use to get food. But there's also some gigantic bugs that are not kind. And I think, I haven't seen the boss yet, but I think the boss is going to be some kind of like bug queen. That's my guess. But they do I just wanted to highlight how creative these devs are in getting you access to each next area. So like when you wanted access to iron in the swamps, if you really wanted to succeed in the swamps, you had to have the key from the previous boss. So they've stacked it in a way that you can technically go anywhere, but you're going to be stuck. Like in Mistlands, when you arrive, it's really pretty, and if you go up high enough, you can kind of see. But once you get down into the normal like sea level, I guess you could say, it's just foggy. I mean, Mistlands for a reason. It's this mist that's swirling around you, and you can barely see. You can kind of see. Sometimes like a breeze will come through, and you can kind of see a little bit in front of you, but you can't see, and stuff's going to kill you real fast. And it's like, all right. So I arrived. I set up a quick like portal spot where I could get back to my home base and then get back here if I died. And I didn't know what to do. So I circled back. I was like, I don't know how to get rid of this mist, but I don't want to Google it. I want to figure this out on my own. Yeah. And I went back and I realized I hadn't beat the last boss of the plains yet. There was really no reason to, because there was nothing after him yet. So I went back and I prepped for that boss. I beat him, and he does drop some really important items that you need. So once you get those items from the plains boss, they were previously useless. Now you use them to build something at your base that'll help you gather what you need to build an item that now lets you explore through the mist. There's like a wisp thing that will float around you and help clear the mist while you're exploring. It's just such a creative way to be like, this isn't gated off, but you're going to struggle and it's not going to be very fun until you use the thing, the last boss. So I just think it's so creative. It's really pretty. Like they did a good job of like making it kind of bright and shiny, and they added a ton of build materials and armor and weapons. And I mean, it feels like just a huge chunk of more game that they've added here. So
is this a free update, or do you pay for it?
Oh no, it's free. Yeah, it's like part of their game.
I can't believe how much they give away for free, and it's like hours and hours worth of content.
It's so much.
That's what I mean. Because then there's the 8th and 9th world, like you're saying. So like they're gonna update that, and it's just like
that'll be free too, you know. So.
That'll just be...
And there's new things to mine and to collect, and so anyway, it's one of those things where I actually find a ton of joy in exploring it and figuring it out for myself. So I won't give any more details than that. But so if you like that kind of thing, the joy of discovery in that game is really special. So
yeah, if you haven't, if whoever's listening hasn't played Valheim, please, for the love of God, play Valheim. It's fantastic.
So yeah, it's really fantastic. Good, and it's not easy. Like you have to really.
It's not, but
it's a tough game.
You gotta come at it with like a plan, you know.
But
it's not like Minecraft where you can just walk in any direction and like you get what you need to. Like this one's calculated.
I think for a survival game, it's not that bad. Like you can take it like really slow if you want and progressively like learn the things, and then like you find yourself in like a nice spot where like you have enough where then things start to kind of roll faster.
Right.
So I think it's not too. There's certainly probably way like what's that Rust one, for example?
Rust,
like I've heard that one's like super punishing. Like
this isn't
the forest is really punishing.
Yeah, the forest. Yeah, the forest. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you really like building, you can pause at any point and just build to your heart's content. You don't have to. Like you could just build like makeshift bare necessities, like little places to sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
But I like to build really cool things. So I like the building.
Building is fun. Yes.
Their building system is great. And they do add a ton with this too, which is awesome. So yep, loving playing that. There's other stuff too, but that's all the new stuff.
Cool.
For now.
We can just, because a lot of the headline stuff, whatever. Let's just go to other things we're playing and watching. While we're here.
I've been playing a lot more God of War. I won't say we'll wrap this up either with a spoiler cast at some point. Definitely Game of the Year. We'll be talking more about it, but I'm at the end of the story, but I haven't done the last couple of things yet. I'm just doing side stuff and loving it. I mean, I just wanted to give a shout out to this game because I gave so much love, and I'll continue to gush about my experience with Elden Ring, where it'd be like, oh my word, I just opened up this whole new area. I had no idea this existed. God of War is giving me that same vibe when I get to certain areas, and all of a sudden they'll say region discovered, and then it just like opens up. You're like, whoa, there's another new thing. And
that Valehim area kind of blew my mind.
And you don't have to explore any of that, but you can, and that it gives you like the same rush that the good open world games give you, but it's not really open world. But boy, some of these open areas are impressive, and it's just really
very impressive.
It's so corporate, though. Let's be real.
So corporate.
Absolutely,
very corporate,
dude.
Dude, at some point the game stops and Kratos starts giving a PowerPoint.
It's.
I'm like, oh God,
and
he talks
about
he says.
He
says,
like, well, the fiscal
synergy.
year is actually pretty Arturus. Come on, like
it's saying, let me circle back with you on that and stuff like that. Like, come on, man, stop saying all this business-friendly jargon.
You try to Atreus tries to ask him a question about and he's like, no. He just says no a bunch. Like,
when you have to go through the sexual harassment class.
Oh my gosh!
It's really something.
It's so corporate. Other than being corporate, there are.
It's a mini game, actually.
There are not that many games. It's funny because I feel like maybe there have been more than I'm giving it credit, the industry credit for. But I feel like there's not that many games that are such a joy to play that I don't want it to end. So I'm avoiding finishing the game. There's some.
Sure.
That's a really magical feeling for sure.
And Ragnarok was easily that for me, even though I beat it really quickly. It was so much that every time they said, yeah, man, now, Mimir or somebody will tell you, yeah, we should just go explore like the good old days and, wait a little bit longer or whatever. I'm like, yeah, we should. Because I just loved spending time with those characters so much and exploring and beating the crap out of people in such, exciting and visceral ways. And
this is even with me hitting certain optional bosses, and I'm like, oh, you know what? This is really tough, and I'm not sure that I'm in the mood to like push through this fight and try it 12 times. So I'm just going to skip this one. Maybe I'll come back to it. Even with skipping some things, I'm like, there's so much to do. And I like that, but it's not overkill. It's not like an Assassin's Creed game where your map is chock full of items. It's just the right touches of things. So I just think it's just a masterful game, and what a joy to play.
I just love that like almost every realm that you go to has like requires you to do at least 2 visits, and on the second visit you get like way more side quest stuff, and I just love that. Like it's just I don't know, they just added so much stuff they didn't need to add to make the game great, and it just makes the game even greater. It's what a special ass game.
And the characters keep acknowledging to me that like, hey, let's keep spending time together. Let's avoid there's a nervousness in the air about what's going to happen and what could happen based on the whole premise of the game is this what's going to happen with this prophecy, and we're checking all the boxes so far, and everyone's getting nervous about what that means for the end, but they're like, you know what, regardless of what happens in the end, let's enjoy this time together now. And Mimir, Atreus, and Kratos have all talked about that as we're exploring and doing side stuff. And they're like, yeah, let's just spend some more time together. And I think that's a really cool way to encourage you, the player, from a story perspective. Hey, pause the main stuff, spend some time. And I like that.
I think you're the only person so far on the podcast that hasn't hit a major story beat yet. Like I know because Derek beat it, Kyle beat it. And I think Dan mentioned Kratos has some really affecting lines at a certain point in the story when they're hunting. And that's after a really crazy story moment. And when you hit that, dude, you got to let us know. Because we can start going, oh, we can talk about this now. Like we can talk about this moment, like it's really cool.
There's been a lot of hunting that we've been doing. So I don't know if I've already have heard.
There's one, you'll know.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll know.
Yeah.
If you played since the last time we talked about it a week ago, you've already experienced it.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, because he said he fought a big boss fight concerning something I don't want to spoil here, and it's literally right after that.
But after that, really? I thought after that you go to Valheim again.
Is it in the area that starts with the letter H?
Yeah, he's done that part.
Good content here.
No, I'm past that.
Oh, so you're past that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, because that's what I was referring to. There's a line that gets.
Oh, so you didn't get to the hunting party thing yet either? Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Never mind.
Yeah, but there's a line.
I'm talking about a very deep in the third act moment.
Oh, okay.
Major.
But there's a line that gets said at the end there before they go through the portal. There's a discussion.
Yeah.
They
are
sitting
that's
down.
What I thought you were referring to, and I
okay.
I was mistaken. That was my bad.
He references something that he said throughout the first game, and it was like, ooh, that was well done.
Like a ton of bricks. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that was well done. So I'm really loving that. Played a little bit more of Bayonetta 3 and Mario plus Rabbids on my work trip. I mentioned to the guys, I thought it'd be funny to share this too. I'm on the airplane on the way home, meeting and workshops I was leading are all over, and I can kind of finally kick back and relax. I wasn't like scrambling to work on my PowerPoint for my work stuff. And so I was just playing my Switch, and so I had Bayonetta 3 open, and I noticed at least 2 or 3 different sets of eyeballs kind of, when you're trying to keep your head straight, but your eyes are going like this to look at what the other people are doing on the airplane.
Where you kind of have to play it like you're relaxing more.
Yeah.
You're like,
and then but their eyes are like down in it. And it's because it's Bayonetta, and she's just like, barely wearing anything, dancing around while your monsters are all fighting. and so, but I realized it's a little weird to play with people. This is a little odd. So I finished up a fight and kind of paused and saved it, and then I switched over to Mario plus Rabbids, and interest dropped almost immediately when Mario fought.
That's a game.
Yeah. And
interest almost dropped.
Interesting. Yeah. I wonder why.
that is. It's probably because Mario.
There are 2 good reasons I can think of. I don't know.
Mario doesn't get naked and dance around in that game.
So we made a kind of a big deal about my pizza earlier. It arrived, and it came with a pizza that I didn't order, so I got my pizza.
Bonus.
And I'm assuming somebody else's pizza that's going to be very bad.
Bonus pizza.
And I'll eat it too because it's just the cheese.
That's awesome.
They just gave me an extra cheese pizza. So.
Oh, by the way, for dinner tonight, before we went to the show, my friend and I stopped at this little food truck that was making. It was just tacos, burritos, or quesadillas. Those were your choices.
Oh, those are the
and they just make them fresh for you right there. They didn't speak great English, and I was like, "This food's gonna be amazing." I can tell just by talking to you, and it was so good. My steak quesadilla was delish.
Jealous.
Can you put Vampire Survivors in there? How much of that did you play?
Dude, I've almost beat every level. I've maxed out tons of characters just in terms of I've unlocked a bunch of them.
Wow. Apparently you're the bigger fan than I am at this.
I've played it a lot. I think I played
You are the Vampire Survivor. That's what that is.
Let me see on Steam how much I think I've played it for a good chunk of time.
That's pretty incredible.
Just under 9 hours so far playing it.
Oh my gosh. Nice. Yeah.
Works great on Steam Deck. It was one of those ones that it's on Game Pass. You could totally play it there, but I was like, kind of like Derek talked about with Chain Decos. It's like sometimes it's okay to spend a couple bucks to support a thing that you think is awesome on a platform you'd prefer. And I really wanted to play it on the Steam Deck, not through the cloud. So just got it on Steam. I think it was on sale for like $5. Or it was cheap.
Yeah, it is really cheap. So it's like I don't even know why it's on Game Pass because it's like everybody can buy
super
it.
Cheap.
Yeah.
What a fun game though, man! Like
it's so good.
It's
so inventive.
They took everything fun about like Robotron from back in the day, and just like I don't know, like made it simpler, but also added layers because you didn't get like carryover upgrades like in Robotron. So it's like it's just fun, man. I really like it. Really good
game. It was so funny because I first fired it up and I was like, all right, everyone's raving about this garbage game. Let me try this garbage game.
Yeah, I know.
Same here. I watched Bruce play it and I was like, this game looks stupid.
I think Dan had
he put like 19 hours into it, so I bought it. I was like, let me just try it out, and it's fun.
Well, I think Dan, you talked about this a couple months ago. Like, I think maybe Vampire Survivors. I thought you did.
No,
maybe
not me. No.
Anyway, but I remember like, all right, I'll give this one a try. And you start out with just a really slow whip, and I was hitting the button, what I thought would be attack, and I'm like, this attack is weird. And I realized I'm not attacking; it's auto attacking.
Auto attack, yeah.
Like, all right, so all I do is move around. This is dumb. And then you just kind of kill a couple of bats, and all of a sudden you level up and you pick a new thing. I was like, oh, that's cool. Then you pick a new thing. Oh, a Bible spins around me. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
and then you get another one, and it's like,
oh,
you can get these birds that fly around and drop bombs on people. Okay, that's kind of. And as it levels up, and then as you get like, there's a super upgrade for each weapon. If you get it maxed out, you get a super upgrade. And then it becomes insane. Like, for example, for the Bibles that spin around you, you can keep adding to those, but then you get the super upgrade and they never stop. They just spin around you forever. They don't know how they use it.
Mega Bible?
Yeah, it's a mega Bible.
Jesus just went off in this Bible.
And it gets crazy because like the screen fills with enemies and you're just moving around the screen with magic and weapons and swords and all kinds of stuff. Your chakrams, everything's just flying every direction.
Yeah.
And you just feel like an absolute boss as you're just sweeping through enemies. And it gets overwhelming. You can definitely die.
It's a lot. It is.
But
when they say horde, that even undersells how many enemies end up showing up sometimes.
Yeah,
it's insane.
But then, like, if you feel like, man, I've left so many experience gems laying around, I need to go try to collect them all. But then you can get this one, like, little vacuum circle, and as soon as you pick that one up, it sucks in all the gems from the whole level that you haven't picked up yet. And that's a good feeling, because then you level up, like, 7 times real quick. So anyway, just a fun, addicting little game. Really, really love it.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad that they mentioned it on, because you mentioned the Alana podcast, whatever.
Yeah.
She just introduced it as this thing we do sometimes because she doesn't do this get together for Game of the Year talk that often. But right away they talk about Vampire Survivors, and I was kind of like you. I was kind of like rolling my eyes, like, get out of here with this crap, dude.
I've been playing this game since March.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Well, I remember like Giant Bomb during their Game of the Year debates. They almost always highlight a handful of games that I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and I would say most of them I try and I'm like, why do they love this so much? They just like it because it's weird. Like I don't know.
Outer Wilds? Are you serious? Like
they or like the robot climbing one that they loved. Grow Home.
Yes.
Yeah. They're like, well, this one's obviously on the list. And I was like, yeah, that's obvious. I'm like, what? So like usually when you hear these very niche games being heralded, I
beat that, by the way.
It's easy to roll your eyes sometimes. Yeah.
So I roll my eyes at those kind of things. So all the love for Vampire Survivors, I was like, oh boy. But it was free, so I tried it, and I was like, all right, well, I'll just buy it, I guess. I just buy it over here. And so
it was made for me. It's when I bought my laptop. That's when I picked it up. I've been hearing about it and watching streams since March, and then I picked it up, and I was like, oh, this is pretty fun.
Yeah.
But it had since then gotten, because it was in early access, gotten a lot of updates, and I think it's 1.0 just came out, right? Like it's.
Yeah, it just came out this fall, I think, as a full release. It was on kind of early or preview for Game Pass for a little while.
That's when I picked it up. When it was, on Game, I didn't realize
it was on Game Pass, PC only for a little while there.
Gotcha.
Well, but yeah, they do have DLC coming next week, I think. So.
Oh wow,
that's awesome.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's a news item. Yes. They're
it's
adding
for
a new
extra
stage
bucks.
and some characters, and that's right. They are charging for it, but it's like $2. So who cares?
Whatever, I'll buy that.
Yeah, exactly. December 15th is when it comes out. New characters, a fresh stage, and additional weapons. That's really cool. And it's the first of, I assume, many DLC.
By the way, there's so many characters to unlock. You start with like this very standard Castlevania looking dude with the whip, and you're like, what a ripoff. But then as it moves on, you can even be a dog that like farts out flowers. Like there's lots of.
We haven't gotten Farty Dog yet. That's cool.
I'm serious. Like he like leaves his little flower trail, and I'm like, this is not a weapon, but they explode. Like they'll float out in random directions, and they explode. So I was like, oh, and then you upgrade that, and then you fire out more flowers. It's so fun. It's kind of funny too. Like it's a funny game.
Yeah, they're very aware of what they're doing. They gotta be.
Yeah, I like
So speaking of games that I was hoping some people, one of whom is on this podcast, would stop talking about, I decided to finally try. And that's neon white. But unfortunately, I am going to have to become one of those annoying people that always talks about it because I'm just obsessed with this game. As I mentioned, I alluded to it earlier when we talked about cringe dialogue. This game is full of it, but it knows how cringe it is. Like you have other characters calling each other out, and stuff. And like the dialogue's very modern and it's very, I think you mentioned it being anime, right? Like, because it's kind of like stuff you would take out of an anime, and you have Japanese voices trying to write for American characters, and it's like, it comes out cringe. But I think this is an American developer, and I think they're right. I think
they know what they're doing because it still is endearing, and then you have characters like Red who like call out the dumb stuff that's being said. I don't know. It's really good.
And then you have Dude Bro Yellow, and Purple, who's like a masochist, like just loves all the violence and gore possible.
And the angels who show up as cats, like that for no reason.
We're not a cat. Like, it's so stupid. We're
it's
not
funny.
cat. And of course, it has an anime staple of the main character having amnesia. And there's literally no reason for him to have amnesia because it's already an interesting story as is of him, of these neons being some dead people that are summoned to heaven to clear demons out of certain layers of heaven. And if you are able to clear as many, you can kind of get into heaven or whatever. And if you die, then so be it. Who cares? Because
those Celestials, the bald guys are there's something real fishy about them right from the jump, right? Where they're kind of like, you can live in heaven with us if you blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like, it's very weird.
Yeah, and White is calling that out too. He's like, something's very off about these guys, and he tells them to shut up all the time. The more you see them, like he's like, I wish you guys would just stop talking. Like that'd be amazing. Like he sees something is off here, and heaven is not all it's cracked up to be, or whatever. There's
What's cool is that they have collectibles, right? You can collect these gifts in every level. Not only can you go for high scores.
I cannot get enough of those gifts.
Okay, the gifts are fun because they're in hard to reach places that are at first very easy. It's like, oh, this is up just 3 jumps and you're there.
And also take as long as you want with those, by the way.
By the end, it's like underneath a tower where you have to jump and dash
you
and
go down,
and then like do a double. Like it gets real
I've done
tough.
That one. Yeah.
But so worth it. And then what happens is you give those gifts to each character, and that'll unlock a memory. And then stages. They have unique challenge stages that are really satisfying. They're tough, but they're satisfying to complete.
Super tough. Yeah.
But it's actually really I think it really helps fill out what's a very fascinating background story, like who you are and what your connection is to these other neons, because they're
and who each neon, like their personality traits are, because like, for example, I think it's Purple, right, who's the one that's like a sadist, masochist, whatever, like she's into BDSM.
She's like the Harley Quinn kind of.
She's like the Harley Quinn of the story. Like every one of her levels is painfully difficult to, like, where there's spikes everywhere and you have to time your jumps so perfectly that you don't land on them, because they'll be everywhere. And when you jump, it's like a gliding jump. It's not like a little mini jump. It's kind of like you're on the moon jumping. So like you get a lot of insight on who these people are. Whereas what's the other one? I don't think it's Yellow, but one of them wants you to get really good at not using discharge whenever you discharge a card.
Whatever I think that is Yellow, but I can't remember. Yeah.
One of them wants you to not use discard keys, which is when you can use a card as a weapon, like a sword or a gun, but when you discard them, that unlocks another ability, like that allows you to jump higher, or that allows you to throw a bomb,
or dash or something.
A dash, exactly, or stomp, which is
I'm
still getting used to that, because that is like okay, now dash, now stomp, now dash, now stomp. It's so weird, and but when you nail the timing. If nothing feels better than getting that gold medal at the end, like nothing.
There are only a few games that I've played that when you finish the level, you kind of go like, I wish I'd recorded that because that looked so cool. Like when and this is one of those games that has that.
Especially when you get an ace on like a particularly challenging level. An ace is like a platinum basically, but they call it an ace in the game. So because you have certain tiers you can hit with each level: bronze, silver, gold. That makes sense. Ace, I don't know where that came from. Seems like an anime thing.
You have to use this. You have to do this shortcut and hit everything perfectly for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and they do. I think at silver you unlock a shortcut or something like that, or maybe
like
it's
prompt
gold.
You where a shortcut is.
Yeah, if you head towards it's like a Hamza hand where it's like the eye and it's a hand. And if you go towards that, it'll tell you, okay, here's where you can go for your shortcut, so it'll help you get an ace medal if you want that. But so far I've just stuck with getting golds and going, okay, I'm content with that, because every time you get a gold, your level goes up. So you start at level 99 because you're bottom of the barrel as far as heaven is concerned. You're a piece of shit. So like you start at level 99, but each gold medal you get, you rank up. So now I'm like, I finished all of level mission 3. I think there's 10 missions, maybe 9. I don't know. But I finished mission 3. I got all golds on that, and that put me at like level 68 or something, like 67. So like, it's just, I'm just dedicated to this game, dude. When I hit 69, I should have just uninstalled the game. I'm like, I won. I won. That's me winning the game. Nice. But yeah, this is just an obsession now for me. I love going back to each level. Like, even on the first time I play it, it'll be like a moment of discovery that I allow myself to have where like, you're kind of like, okay, where do I go next?
There's
like,
really no punishment for failing. So you could just spend a couple of minutes
or
like,
or taking forever.
Let me see where everything is. And let me just, that's kind of like, think of like Trials, those Trials games. Remember the Trials motorcycle games where you can just do a quick restart? It kind of has that feature where you can just quickly restart a level as you're in it.
And it loads like
some are like
it's
30 seconds long, but then as you get later in the game, some of them can be multiple minutes.
God,
have you gotten to a boss encounter? There's a couple boss encounters.
No, I don't think so. Okay. No.
Right, interesting. Those are longer too.
So does those expect you to actually use your cards instead of discarding them and
yes,
getting mad at
but it's again it employs the idea of like you have to solve this puzzle in order to damage the boss first. Like, but by puzzle I mean like you have to do certain steps first. Use your items first, and then you can do, anyway. It's just well done.
Did you do the? Did you do one of the side quest levels where it was like you just start in a vending machine full of cards and you have to figure out like you have to just
yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? You can't trust me to do this. I need you to give me the cards and tell me which ones to use.
One of my favorite touches is these celestials who are allowing you, this horrible evil sinner who's been in hell. They're allowing you to live with them in heaven, but you have these masks on that have explosives in them that at any time if you disobey they can blow you up. That's kind of like that's why you have those masks on, and they'll reward you with if you earn these tickets you can go turn them in to get a heavenly reward, which you would think would be some kind of character upgrade.
No, and it's like something stupid like watching
a movie.
It's
you get to watch a movie with one of us, or you get a taste of ice cream. You're welcome. Like it's
always a slap in the face, and it makes White more and more mad every time he gets a gift. It's so funny. Also, I love that the music reminds me of late 90s, maybe early 90s, like Paul Oakenfold techno, like it's like Rush. It's Rush. It's the racing game Rush from N64, where on like the stunt level, it's like boop,
yeah, man.
It's like that really, really fast-paced techno. And it just, it's just hitting all the right buttons for me, dude.
There's no other game like it. People have asked, I've tried to describe like, well, I start to say something like Mirror's Edge, then I always backtrack. Like, it's really not like Mirror's Edge.
Yeah.
Outside of the fact that it's a first-person thing and there's elements of parkour-ish in it, but once you get going, like once you get through the first couple of levels where it's like, all right, they're teaching me. I honestly got through those first few levels and thought this is fine. But it wasn't until I kind of got into the meat of all the real levels and finding gifts and I got so hooked.
Oh, interesting. So like for me from mission 1, and just to kind of break that down, each mission is like considered an episode in the game, and each mission has 10 levels. So like from mission 1, I was replaying levels and like going, no, I can do better than that. I can do better than Tim, especially because we can compare times. It's it's just like Forza. So like
I hit that jump a little harder.
I will constantly go back and be like, okay, where's the gift though? Like I have to get everything. I'm just so obsessed with like completing this game now. And Tim, actually, you know what? Even though I got a lot of like all gold medals or ace now, you still have like, I would say more than half of the ones I've already done, you still have like either point something of a second over me or like a full second over me. So like we're that close, or I've surpassed you already.
I do think you'll be surprised that, because the story is like, you're right, cringy. It's kind of like anime. It's kind of silly.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what you think. If you end up finishing out at least the main story of the game, I finished it going like, that was actually a really good story. Like the way that it might not land that way for you. I might have just been so intoxicated by the gameplay that I felt good about it. But
animes do have legitimately great story. I mean, obviously there are thousands and thousands and thousands of animes out there, and some of them suck. But like
Dan and Kyle, I thought of you guys when that story ended. I was like, this would have made a great anime series. Take out the game like racing, like, but just the story itself, the actual story beats and how it unfolds.
It has its own like fantasy world setup that's like totally perfect for like a TV adaptation.
Totally.
I mean, I'm wondering if at some point they might consider doing that, because they, for example,
I don't doubt it. Netflix loves doing that stuff.
What was the other game that released alongside Tales of Arise that was also like action RPG? That was like more sci-fi.
You beat it, right? The one that you and Derek
Yeah.
Why am I blanking on it? Scarlet Nexus.
Yes, thank you. They released a anime of that, and I think it's literally just the story of the game. I think I could be
because
wrong.
The story is so like.
I mean, that game is anime.
Yeah,
that game is anime. So like, they could maybe do that with Neon White. I mean,
also I love the Neon White. The devs do manage to put in things that like remind you, okay, these are Western developers. Like they, not that Japanese developers don't like our culture or whatever, but like they're clearly making like karaoke jokes about famous songs that you all know. They're making jokes. They talk about the Matrix. They talk about openly about pop culture in our country.
Yep.
That makes me go, these got to be American developers. Like they have.
There's also the grumpy head angel named Mikey, who's a little grumpy cat.
I love from the beginning. You just walk into his office and you like don't give a shit.
He's chomping on a big old cigar and he's super grumpy. Yeah. It's just really well done. I'm curious to see what you think as it wraps up. I'm so glad someone else is playing this game because it's so fun.
Like I said, now you have a second person to be stupidly annoying about this game. Because when Game of the Year comes around, guys.
Oh, by the way, so it's on PC and Switch now. So it technically was a console exclusive for Switch, but I think next week it's coming to PS4 and PS5. I think it's next week.
Oh, I bought it on.
That's perfect.
I bought it on PC because Tim told me to. So no, I'm just kidding. I nabbed a code off of one of those similar sites to CD Keys or whatever for like $15.
So. Yeah,
it's well worth that. Yeah. I don't remember what I got it for. I think I got it like the same day I got my deck, and I was like, I need more games for my deck. Fun fact: I never played this on the deck at all. I've been playing it on PC like just glued to my 4K monitor, like just loving it. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So that's
games like this and Vampire Survivors. Just I love getting hooked on a game like that. That's unexpected. It's very unexpected.
Totally. Game. And I thought I was just gonna hate this. Like I really did. I wanted to move on to some. I know Kyle. Like, is Midnight Sun still dominating your life?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Where are you at on it by this point?
Oh gosh, I'm. I don't know how many acts there are, but I'm deep into Act 2. I'm between 35 and 40 hours into it.
Wow.
The amount of characters I've met now at this point, like, and I'm not talking just think of just comic book characters and stuff like that. I just don't want to spoil them because like them showing up is kind of like half the fun. You're like, oh my God, you made it, So just running into like familiar faces, even maybe if you're not even familiar with them, you may have heard of them. They may have been part of like current, Marvel stuff. Maybe they're part of like the people that you want to come to Marvel really quick, it's or really soon. It's just like it's a nice mixture of everything. And again, I'm just so surprised they were able to get everybody to play ball with this because it just seems like everybody's on the table. And like where I'm at, like it's like I'm not just fighting Hydra stuff anymore, it's like big stuff's going on, So I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying a lot about it. I'm maxing out a lot of my characters, so I feel like I can't have too much of the game left because I don't know what you would do anymore if there's no more like friendship like stuff to do. So it
sounds like it sounds like there might be 3 acts then, and you're just OP for Act 3.
Yeah, I'm OP for Act 2. Hell, yeah, it's crazy. I'm just steamrolling over stuff right now,
That's awesome.
Which is great because I want to feel that I'm a superhero. Like
is there anything outside of getting like new cards from whenever you go to craft something at Strange's weird thing? Is there anything with combat? Or at least the combat areas that you're noticing is like changes like new environmental stuff?
Yeah, there's new environmental stuff. So like you could like again, I don't want to like spoil too much, but like it's like there are more than just exploding barrels and like piles of like cement to like hop over or explode or whatever. Yeah. Things get bigger and cooler.
Good. I'm just glad it evolves past.
And there's some really cool like iconic locations. You're like, hey, we're gonna have this gigantic fight. Like this is not because like you see it in the very beginning of this game, but like the level later. Yeah, you get to fight like in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and it's like that's pretty cool, you know. So you're throwing like bad guys around, like all these like artifacts and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I'm just really enjoying this game. Every once in a while, I feel like I'm kind of getting tired of it, and then like I'll put it down the next day, like that feeling's completely gone. Like, and what I mean by, because there's an obvious loop, not unlike Persona, where like even with Persona, even though I love that game, at some point I'm like, okay, I get it. Like you go to class, you go on dates, you go fight people.
It's a 100-hour game or whatever.
Yeah. So it's like, but like usually if the cycle is good or you're enjoying it, like a little bit of a break goes a long way, you know. So like every time I return back to it, like I have a good time, and I'm putting long hours in this game. Like it's like 6-7 hour sessions sometimes. Yeah. So it's like it's long sitting hours.
I think the combat lends itself to longer play times too. Like because it's not like you're making super quick decisions. I mean, unless you are that type of person who does those type of turn-based games. I'm not. I'm slow. So like I'm taking my time with those battles, and that can lend itself to like longer play sessions too. Because I want to see it through and see what happens next, and then it happens again. It's a cycle basically.
Yeah. Man, it's a good time. I'm really enjoying it. I think sometimes like some of because Midnight Suns, like they're kind of young. Like sometimes the things that are bothering them, I'm like, you're a dumb young kid. Like
somebody didn't like my tweet.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like Robbie like talked to me all wrong. I'm like, who gives a shit? You know, but outside of that, I actually really enjoy all the conversations with everybody and everything like that. It's not always acted like top class. It's not always written top class, but like there's also 60 hours of dialogue in this game. So it's like not everything can be a 10 out of 10 line, you know? So it's and like I've had to reload because like I've had some like game breaking bugs that I'm like, oh, thank God this thing like saves every 5 seconds in a new thing, because like if it didn't, like I would have never played this game again. But there have been moments where I've run into things where I'm like, oh, I have to dial back a couple things because like this is completely broken. And it all has to do with like a particular like research center, and it's never in a mission or anything like that. It's a known bug online, like they're fixing and stuff like that. I just don't do anything with it anymore, pretty much, and it doesn't impede my progress. But like when I had to go reload, like everything's random. So like I like have never seen conversations I've seen one time ever again, you know. So like there are things that like you'll never experience in this game, you know, just because like it's a completely random what dialogue you're gonna get, but you never get the same dialogue twice either. So it's a lot of dialogue. So of course you're gonna run into some lines that you're like, oh, what is this? It's just the nature of the beast. So
mostly from the young folks too, I would say.
Yeah, it's always from the young folks.
Damn
Wolverine's
kids.
been a lot of fun like in this game.
I can't wait to get to him.
I've been enjoying Wolverine quite a bit, and Spider-Man's always fun. So
when did he? Do you remember like at what point did he show up for you? Was it still in Act 1 or
super late? Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got him not too long ago. Yeah.
I remember reading a review or watching a review that was like, by the time you get Hulk, it's obvious why they didn't introduce him earlier, because he is OP compared to everybody else. Like he decimates everybody. It's crazy.
And there's some really cool reasons of why he's the last one that you get. And I haven't gotten him yet, but like there are story implications that keep him from being on your team.
Yeah, they've touched on it so far in my game.
It's cool, man. Like it's everyone feels like right, you know, like it kind of feels like if you only watch the movies, like they're gonna feel familiar to you, but there's a lot of characters that like obviously are not part of the movies and feel good. And I hope that we get versions of like Ghost Rider, like Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider, and a bunch of stuff like in the cinematic universe, because it plays so well here. No clue why.
And you know what? I would say there's a better chance at that Ghost Rider and the same actor playing him coming back, because that actor's playing Joel's brother in Last of Us TV show. So like he's about to get a lot of recognition. Yeah, he's gonna
He played a Terminator too, and I know that movie sucked, but like that's a high profile franchise.
But he was good in that. So like yeah. And so
maybe we get him. So I'm surprised like Moon Knight's not in this. Like that, like he's actually a pretty classic Midnight Suns character. So like there's some characters I'm like, why do you not have him?
They even reference Moon Knight like a lot.
They reference everybody. Yeah, like just
at one point someone's just reading a list of names, and
someone's even been like, hey, you don't make Gumbo as good as Gambit. I'm like, he made it, guys. We got him. We got Gambit, everybody.
Oh, he's not here. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, so like it's just it's staggering how much
that's cool.
You know, like names are just dropped in this, and I'm just so surprised that someone was able to get like Marvel and Sony and Universal and all these like idiots who own little pieces of this to be like, yeah.
That's fine. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go ahead and add it.
Is there is it still considered for you like a top 5, top 10 game for this year?
That's
awesome.
If anything, it's just creeping up. I think it hit Horizon, and it's probably not going to get above that, obviously, but that's kind of where I'm at there.
I did put Callisto Protocol on the list because I know Dan streamed it. Did you end up beating it last night?
No.
Come on, Dan.
I freaking labeled the damn stream as finale, and I kept saying like, "We're gonna finish it, guys. We're gonna finish it."
What happened?
But like, so when you're streaming, it's just like you're interacting with people, and you just kind of lose track of time because it's like
I get that.
So it's not that it's longer than you thought it was. It's not that.
Yeah, no, but there is a little bit of imbalance with certain areas. So there's been 2 areas in the game that like I died like quite a few times because I was like not quite getting how to approach it, and also like there was this one particular part where like there's this platform that kind of goes in a circle. So I was backtracking. I was going back the way that I had to go, and like the platform was like all like messed up, like the floor was missing, and I was like, where am I supposed to go? But then there was this like security robot that was basically going around the circle, and it like insta kills you, and there's no way to kill it apparently. So it just kept killing me, and even when I thought it was on the opposite side and it couldn't see me, these other the freaking monsters would jump on me, and I'd like push them off me, but then he'd still see me and shoot me. So I was just getting like really annoyed, but it's fine because I was on stream and it's still fun, but whatever. So some of those moments have just made it so it's taken me a little longer, combined with the fact that I'm streaming. And last night, at the very end, I got to a boss that he's like a two-headed dude, and I fought him like not too far away right before that. It was like this kind of moving platform where they just throw a bunch of dudes at you. It's basically like almost like an elevator sort of thing where it's like you're waiting to get to the bottom, but they're just throwing a bunch of dudes at you.
Oh, yeah.
You have to like survive like one of those type of moments.
Those famous levels in every action game. Yes. Yeah.
And I actually did pretty, I nailed that in 2 tries. So I was like pretty proud of that because Thomas, in the group was like, I'm like stuck on this part. I was like, all right, well, let's see. Thomas is saying this part's frustrating, and I died once, and then I nailed it. But I think it's because so you use the telekinesis move. So I threw off some of the earlier guys. Like I just threw them right off, so I didn't even have to deal with them. So I think that kind of helped. Yeah. But I killed the 2-headed guy. It popped up there first, and I had an abundance of ammo at that moment, because right before that I was doing a lot of sneaking around and backstabbing, so I was saving ammo. And then another 2-headed dude popped up later on, and I had less ammo, so I was trying to be kind of like more frugal with it and kind of going in for melee attacks, but like he basically just one hit kills you too. So it's just like it's kind of not balanced appropriate. It's like he just killed one shot, boom, he just gets you. Wow. So I think it was just kind of like me trying to like figure out like timing wise, like get some shots off, like dodge, like back up, like, yeah, it's just there's some sections that are like, this is like suddenly the difficulty spike just goes up, and these enemies also can just one hit kill you. So, and combined with me streaming and, conversing with people, like Jeff was in there last night, so which I super appreciated. That was super fun. Thanks for popping in.
Yeah, it was awesome. You run a good stream.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I do some goofy nonsense. I raved. Jeff and I, we raved. We did some raving.
He does a rave.
It was pretty fun. Sephiroth shows up. He raves. I basically and chocobos were running by. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Okay.
Sounds like it's still solidly swimming in 7s though, that game, despite the fun you're having with it on your stream.
I would say most people might. Yeah. To me, I think it's still like it's like a solid 8. Because I am still really enjoying it. I think just there's those couple moments. I think if I wasn't playing on stream, then maybe I'd be a bit more focused and I wouldn't have died as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely some moments that it's like, well, this is really dumb. Like you need to kind of tweak this a bit.
We're running out of time, guys. Do you have anything else you're playing that you want to talk about, or? Because I wanted to ask Tim about his experience with Bill Burr and how he felt about it.
Oh yeah.
That was the last thing I wanted to talk about. Sorry for no time about headlines. There were some spicy ones this week, and
did it just end the recording, or?
Yeah, it just gave me the recording. Is it still going?
Two separate ones because we're over 3 hours.
Yeah, it looks like we're doing a separate one now. I don't know at what point it cuts you off with Callisto, but we'll figure it out.
It says it's still recording, so I think it'll just do a second video. Yeah, Bill Burr was amazing. He's just a master at his craft. He's a what sets guys like him and Dave Chappelle apart, in my personal opinion, is they have mastered the art of storytelling and communicating. They know how to read their audience and connect with them. Yes, they're good at writing jokes and punchlines. Of course, you have to be good at that, and their delivery is great. Those things are all important, but they are just master storytellers, and they know how to communicate. You ever watch those TED Talks on how to communicate and how to give a good speech? Mm-hmm. Like, they are masters at that craft. So people just, a lot of times I think they just write them off as, they're just like, they'll look at a comedian who's successful, he's just some dirty comic who makes whatever jokes. Like, no, they're geniuses at this. And so I think seeing him live was just so cool for me, because I've seen his specials, but I got to watch him perform. I hadn't heard any of those jokes before. And
wait, was this the first time you've ever seen him live, or?
The first time I've seen him live, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
it was my first time too this year. Okay. Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
The amount of material that these guys, that the best of the best, I think, create and go through and they master and deliver so perfectly. Yeah. It's so impressive, man. Like, it's so impressive.
I will say, like, I've seen most of Bill Burr's specials, maybe not so much his older ones, because I jumped on the train kind of late. But I feel like this is just the best material for me. Like, I just don't remember laughing that hard at his material before.
So this set right now, so it's you two have seen the same set? Is that what it?
It's possible. It's possible we had a lot of the same jokes. I'm sure he told you the mushroom story. Part 2, because that story is a closer. So like, I'm sure he gave you that. But some of the stuff
he didn't close with that, but yes, that was a big chunky element of the middle of that. Was again that long form storytelling.
So funny, yeah. And I felt like I was there with him. He spelled it out so good, and the jokes were just.
Dude, he actually makes a mention once of how he's an artist and he's trying to paint a picture, and he does that in the context of trying to describe a super fat lady across him from him.
Yeah, I remember this.
And he says, it's like when you're doing soft serve and then you like pull the cup out a little too early and 2 little blobs hit underneath, and then just add legs to that. That's what she looked like. I was just dying. Man.
Legs to that.
My favorite bits have been, hopefully did you get any crowd work at all? Because he decimated some people in my crowd.
He didn't go after individuals. No, it was more just about like the area, he knows that, and he probably did this for Texas and Colorado. You can kind of joke in the same way.
He talks about the areas of Texas that, like, because you have Dallas and Austin, Houston. Yes, you have big cities, but in between you have nothing but like a random adult store of like porn.
Yeah.
So he made jokes about that, of like driving to Texas and being like, what the hell is that? Like a random 24/7
He localized a lot
store?
of things. He talked about like skiing and like he made some joke about how that'd be like trying to like failing at selling skis in Colorado. Like he localized some of his jokes.
That's pretty genius
to hear. And then he referenced Pueblo, which is like a town just south of here that everyone here kind of craps on all the time. It's like, well, who don't live in Pueblo? That place sucks. It's that kind of like vibe. So he knew, and then he actually went back and was like, all you have to do to win over a crowd is mention the nearby town and let them like kind of boo.
He mentioned Houston and he knew we'd boo, so we did. Yeah. But there was something specific at my show that I very vividly remember, is when it was at the very beginning. It was like the first 2 minutes of his set. And the guy is walking back from the restroom and waves at Bill. And Bill goes, "Did you just wave at me? What's wrong with you? Do not procreate with this man. He's just roasting him." It's so funny, dude.
No, he actually didn't point anybody out. Dean Del Rey was his opener, which is probably why I went longer, because he talked for a little while. And they showed a trailer for Old Dads, his new movie.
That looks so funny, dude.
Yeah. So he brought that trailer with him.
He wrote and directed that movie, and there's no date on it yet, but I think it's a Universal, or it's like a major studio is doing it. So like it's gonna have a good distribution to it.
Sure. So it just went long, and we didn't have our phones. Our phones were in like those sealed pouches that you have to get unlocked as you leave.
I had that too.
So I actually didn't know what time it was or when. Did it start late? Did I'm not sure.
Sounds like your opener went long. Ours went like 15, 20 minutes, and then it was like the trailer, and then Bill came out, and we were out by like 8:30 our time. So
but yeah, I think he's. I still think Dave Chappelle and him are kind of in a tier by themselves. There's maybe a couple others that might belong up there too, but those are the two that come to mind as like, they're the goats at the moment.
As far as like, I don't know, there are others that I guess people like Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr would consider alternative comics, like Pete Holmes. I feel like he's on another level compared to every other comedian. Just the way his mind works and how he's able to break down everyday stuff to the point that it breaks your brain when you think about it. Yeah. I haven't seen a comic do it that way. The way he talks about oxygen in the universe and like stuff like that. Like he on another level.
He's a deep thinker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys like him, and also Kyle Dunnigan, I think, doesn't get enough credit for being a comic, even though he's not a really traditional stand-up comic. But anyway, so yeah, that was great. And I know this show's gone long, but there's just a lot of cool, exciting stuff. We might end up splitting this in half and being like, here's our Game Awards thoughts, and then here's our normal.
That's not a bad idea because the Game Awards thing I think was what went the longest. Yeah. But yeah, the Game Awards deserve that attention. It's once a year, so why not?
Yeah, man. It's kind of like our winter E3, especially since we didn't have an E3.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved it.
Yeah, good time to be a gamer. So I think that's it. I think that's
Kyle,
good.
You got any more pizza? Did you eat it all? Did you sneak it in while we were? Are you waiting?
I ate like half of that pizza. Well,
wow,
it was an hour. It was an hour cold. So.
All right. Well, thanks, dudes. Thanks for covering. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining, and don't forget on Netflix that Pinocchio is out now, Guillermo del Toro and Emily the Criminal, and those are both great, so go watch those.
$18.99 that you jotted down there, which I need to watch. I haven't even started watching it yet.
I'll circle back and talk about that when I finished it. I'm pretty close. I'm halfway through it.
Are you?
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not shocked. So.
Right. Exactly.
I'm not shocked at all.
But yeah, go subscribe and whatever people say on YouTube.
Smash that like button.
Smash your keyboard until
Hit
it breaks.
Notification bell.
And then you have to buy a new keyboard.
Button for harassment.
And come follow Dapper Chocobo. That guy is really stupid, but he does some stuff on Twitch.
Stop plugging your own stuff. That's not cool.
I don't know who you're talking about. That guy.
You don't even want us on your channel, Dan. I heard you.
No, you can come.
Stop being embarrassed.
And Tim can come, and Kyle can come. Derek, probably not a good idea.
That's safe.
Yeah.
Oh man, they got in such a big back and forth. Oh my god, that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, it was something.
Right. I'm out, dude.
Anyway,
see ya.
Yep.
Later, guys.
Easy.
All right, bye.